So let's look at where boomers are spending their time online. They're spending their time in three places: social media and community. They're doing research, and they're spending time on their passion sites. Now, I didn't have email in here. Certainly, they're conducting some business or social with email, but this is where they're spending their time on sites. Social media sites like Facebook, Vibrant Nation, Grandparents, Corvette Forums, About 55, Oomph TV, Boomers Abroad, all have communities where people can share information. Research, they're spending, the #1 category for research is health. And again, I talk about as a marketer that consumers are in charge, and they go in with information to their doctors and say, what about this? I read this came from Mayo Clinic. So they're co-doctoring. They are consulting now with the doctor. A couple side examples would be like Silver Planet or Fit Day that you go for more information. Now let's look at passion sites. The #1 hobby for boomers is gardening. So Dave's Garden. Boomers now have their families, they're empty nesters, their families are gone, they're in college, they've moved away. They're able to spend time on their passions like fly fishing or Corvettes or Harley-Davidson forum, crafting, Baby Boomer Baloney for some funny stories. So these are the kind of sites where they're spending their time because boomers always love to read, and they're a very educated group. When you're looking for more information on boomers, I want to share these conferences with you. In 2011, the Digital Health Summit's coming up in January 7th in Las Vegas as part of CES. The Silver Summit, focusing on technology, is the day after, January 8th, again tied into CES. You also want to get on your calendar what's next to Boomer Summit on April 29th in San Francisco, and the Boomer Venture Summit in June 2011 will happen in San Jose. And I don't believe the date has been set for that yet. We want to give a quick overview on our services. We do offer display advertising on 120 sites. Our total unique visitors are 112 million a month. Our page views are 1.4 billion. We also have the services of email, mobile, e-newsletters, and caregivers. So those are databases that we can access with your message and sponsorship. Thank you, and now I'm going to be turning it over to Stephen.
Great, thanks, Nancy. Let me know. You ready for me to open up my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so that's up and ready?
I'm not seeing your slide yet. There we go.
There, okay, great. Well, I'm glad to be participating in this with two real experts. Dave Weigelt has helped guide my thinking about Boomers Online since before we launched Vibrant Nation to the public, and Nancy has been a great pioneer in trying to meet this great unmet gap between the generation that has the most discretionary income and advertisers who have been slow to wake up to spending money against them and how to reach them. So I couldn't be in better company to describe our piece of the boomer market, which is boomer women. Let me just tell you a little bit about this market. Nancy set it up, but just very quickly, there are 40 million boomer women at least in the United States. And the research on marketing to women and women in the marketplace has shown us, as Nancy mentioned, that women control a dominant percentage of all spending in every conceivable category, even ones that people used to think were dominated by men. including luxury automobiles, and the fact that women control 80% of spending in many categories at all ages means that, of course, for boomers, each year there start being a few more women than men, so they're even more in control of spending decisions at this stage of life. Nancy brought this up, but one thing I like to mention is that people still, there's been a lot of focus on the first boomers that turned 60, the fact the first boomer is going to turn 65 next year. I don't personally, I mean, that's an interesting fact, but it's not a very relevant fact for a marketer because you don't really want to market to 1 out of 40 billion. You want to wait till the mass of them is in that life stage. So it's really important to remember that the average boomer is still only 53 and really is nowhere near what you would consider an older person yet. They're really right in the middle of life, and these women represent the healthiest, wealthiest, best educated generation of women in history. They are aware they've entered a new life stage. They're not young anymore, but they aren't old. They're right in the middle of life, and they aren't getting the attention from marketers that they want to get. One of the benefits of that is that if you recognize them in the right way, it's actually a lot easier to win their attention than it is against consumers for whom there's a lot more competition right now. We've done a lot of research on boomers and boomer women online, what we call vibrant women. Nancy cited the great Pew studies, which has shown that boomers are now doing all the same things in virtually the same numbers as consumers and Internet users of every age. Our research on the connectedness between boomer women has shown that they are the first generation of women in U.S. history whose connections actually grow as they age. So the old stereotypes that women started to wind down as their friends moved away and some of them started to die is no longer true. They're making more friends. The Internet is enabling them to get back in touch with friends from different parts of their lives, and they're befriending younger people more than ever. So as a result, the boomer woman, who is extremely influential, is actually growing more influential with each year. Nancy, I was glad you cited that NBCU study from just a couple weeks ago. I thought that was a great study, and it's interesting that I think it shows some of the gaps in the boomer marketplace when a company as big as NBC Universal has to plead with Nielsen to start measuring numbers on boomers. I think that paired with the USA Today CBS survey means that may start happening soon. My only beef with that was that NBCU called them alpha boomers, and given the importance of women in this demographic, I wasn't sure that women really ended up being comfortable calling themselves alpha anything, but it's a great study and something people should all pay attention to. Nancy talked about Vibrant Nation, leading social online community for boomer women. Our members are, we really know this market because these are who our members are. They are all women. Almost all of them are aged 48 to 68, right in the sweet spot of the boomer generation. They are, as I said, the best educated generation of women in history. Almost two-thirds have bachelor and or graduate degrees, higher than average household income, with marriage rates that map the populations, about two-thirds married in our audience, and about one-third single, whether never married, divorced, or widowed. I'm going to talk about approach the sex, drugs, and rock and roll theme that Nancy set out for us in a particular way, really focused on the fact that these are two of the biggest areas that boomers are active online. Sex and drugs in terms of health care. The Internet is the place where they're looking for information and making decisions, and a place where marketers aren't yet doing the best that they could do with boomer women. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity at sites in the Navigate Boomer Media Network to be engaging women and boomer women on issues related to healthcare and digital media. So that's my take on the sex, drugs, and rock and roll theme. We've done extensive surveys on sex because the Internet is actually an ideal place to talk to people about sex and for them to engage with marketers and products and service providers. One, it's anonymous, so the embarrassment issue, in fact, although women connect with other women and will share details on just about anything, sex is one of those topics that they may actually not talk about. They may be more willing to talk about with a stranger in a safe online environment than they are with their best friend. Again, remember that the average boomer is 53. The stereotypes that she's aging out of interest in sex are not true. However, she is aging, and that makes sex less satisfying for any number of reasons because her body is changing. And so women are turning online to find information about how to manage issues like the fact that sex may become painful, how to find sex toys, frankly, and how to take control of the sexual side of her life that she's really very interested in. And women will almost will laugh very quickly with the fact that they realize that if there were the way that Viagra is marketed online, that they wonder if there were a Viagra for women, how it would be marketed, if at all. One of the things we've been involved with several studies, one on sexual health and one on insomnia for women in menopause, to show that actually doctors are not doing their job so well either on this. They're either not asking women about conditions that they know they're likely to be experiencing, like insomnia or sexual pain after menopause, and if the women do try to talk about them, the doctors aren't always engaging with them. For that reason, that makes this topic area an ideal way for online information providers and support networks to help women get the answers they need. I was at a healthcare conference this week, and I saw an example that Viagra had done an exceptionally good job of actually showing videos that were kind of humorous, but actually got men over the biggest problem in becoming a Viagra consumer, which was actually the embarrassment of bringing it up with their doctors. So they actually showed a man could go to the Viagra website and see some examples about how he could bring it up with his doctor. That's a much bigger issue than many people realize on sensitive areas of healthcare decision-making across the board. It would be great to see some of the providers who are helping women have more satisfying sex lives or have better sexual health provide some of the same kind of information. The healthcare providers in this space know that women aren't getting the answers, but they aren't always doing a great job of reaching them. Another one of those reasons is I think the pharmaceutical industry specifically is under a lot of regulatory control that makes them very wary about social networks and online engagement at all. But that has, however, been, I think, an excuse for them to rely solely or very largely on microsites, on sites they develop about their drugs and medications. The problem with that is over the last few years, the dominant websites have become even more dominant, meaning that women and others are even less likely to find their way to microsites. Also the growth of social media from Facebook and boomer-devoted sites and otherwise topically driven vertical websites have become much more a commonplace for people to get trusted information. So the idea that they're going to go to a captive website that's controlled by a pharmaceutical company is less likely, and the pharmaceutical companies in all areas of healthcare, including sexual health, are going to have to find women where they already are, in the communities where they are already seeking information. Finally, online is a great place to do business in the area of sex because boomer women are very interested in being consumers, whether it's of products like lubricants or sex toys. Our survey showed this is no longer the shocking category it was. Trojan is now advertising its vibrators on national television, and we showed that almost 60% of women, boomer women, admit to owning a vibrator or sex toy. They don't always know where to find them, and the internet is a great place to do that kind of business with them. So now we'll move out of sex and into drugs from one shocking area to the other. But again, drugs I'm going to focus on really just as healthcare, and the pharmaceutical industry is generating billions and billions of dollars out of boomers, but not always doing a great job of reaching them where they find themselves online. My big message about healthcare online, and I think that the pharmaceutical industry doesn't necessarily do a great job because I think it came out of thinking of drugs for aging people as drugs for old people, and instead of thinking about it being age-driven rather than life stage-driven. Boomers are now 46 to 64 years old. We're in a period where boomers, the term boomer now defines middle age.